Pauper to the People is brought to you by ABU Games. You can visit them online at abugames.com or through their bots, the Card Store and the Card Store 2. You can find us each week on mtgostrat.com and mtgcast.com. This is Pauper to the People, episode 121. My name is Chris, and with me is Nate.
Hello.
And Peter.
Hello.
And Chris Weaver was supposed to join us this week, but he's had a family issue come up, and so we're going to get him on at a different time. These things happen. And blank. Utter, complete blank. It's been a busy probation period at work. So I was all pumped because Fringe Season 5 showed up on Netflix.
And then disappeared.
And then it went away. Yeah.
They probably had some loading problems. It'll come back up.
Well, basically, what ended up happening was Chris is going to be on next week for sure. I'm just writing them back really quick. Basically, what ended up happening is Netflix put it up too soon. Oh. They weren't supposed to put it up until September, so they cut it off again.
Oh.
So, which makes sense. It's unfortunate, especially for me, who was 6 episodes into the new season and now has to wait another month to finish it off.
But you saw it was on, and you just literally stopped everything you were doing.
I saw it was on, and I actually watched it for about 3 days. I did a couple of episodes a day, over the course of 3 days, and then I went to go turn on an episode because I had an hour, and it was gone.
No.
So last week we were talking about, what was it called? Monday Fun Day. And basically the point of that was, man, I am...
Drawing blanks?
Some kind of
Wasn't that the
today.
Commentary of the videos and matches and whatnot?
Yeah, I'm looking it up because I want to make sure I say it right. Episode 120. Alright, yeah, it was from Michael Sheritz. Fun Day Monday, where viewers give various restrictions and then commentate on the games that are submitted. And we said that, yeah, we think something like that could work for Pauper to the People. And, I stand by that. So basically, what I think we're going to do for the first week, just as kind of a trial run, is any of our listeners who are playing a match on MTGO, go ahead and write down the match number and ship it off to us, or if you happen to have the capacity to record it, if you could record it and send it our way. And then we can just kind of do some commentary over top of it, see kind of if we know what we're talking about or not, I guess is the main way to do it. And if I'm way off on what this is exactly supposed to be, feel free to yell at me and tell me what it is exactly supposed to be. But I didn't want to put too many restrictions on it for the first week. I wanted to just kind of say anything goes, just so we can maybe get the most amount of people submitting stuff, just so we can see how it works as a trial run. If that makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I feel like you guys are just agreeing with me out of pity at this point because I'm exhausted.
No,
I don't have anything to argue with yet.
All right, well, speaking of arguing, let's move on to this interesting article from Mark Rosewater that was posted today, titled 20 Things That Were Going to Kill Magic. And Nate tipped this off to me, so Nate, why don't you go ahead and take the reins?
All right. I just happened to be on Facebook and Pauper Revolution, or I think Pauper Revolution, whatever. They posted this article by Mark Rosewater, and it immediately caught my attention because of the heading, the headline. It's a big long article, but I'll just go over what Mark Rosewater's opinion, the top 20 things that he thinks is killing that would kill Magic. I might go for number 1 and go down, or start from the bottom and go up.
Yeah, I think so. Let's clarify really quick. The thing that's amazing about this is because Mark's obviously been with the company for a long, long, long time. So he's been at the helm for quite a few of these changes that all of these players have said were going to kill the game. This is basically him putting the smackdown on all of our heroes of the web that we could ever have in the future.
Oh, this is
pretty
priceless.
Yes.
So we'll start with number 20 and work our way down. Number 20, new slivers in Magic 2014. There's a piece on. I guess so we'll just basically go the route of you tell your opinion on this, and we're not going to go into what the article because it's a long article. I guess I don't think it's that big of a deal. The artwork's a little weird on them, but I think the new slivers are interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for context, this is him telling people that are complaining about stuff to shut up. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great because the new slivers were the most recent thing that were going to destroy Magic, and he's basically telling them to cram it.
Yeah, and actually not that bad.
Yep.
Okay, number 19. Organized play changes relating to them. Okay, let's see here. Replacement of this rating system. Oh, yeah, abolishing pro points.
Yeah, getting rid of ELO and starting up Planeswalker points.
Yeah.
And how that killed the game.
Yeah. Number 18, double-faced cards. Basically our flip cards that we have in Innistrad.
Yep. I like this is too good to read. Some players felt that the Magic back was a hard and fast rule that could never be broken. They were ripping off Kaijudo and Duel Masters, and just this list here. They required sleeves or a checklist card. They messed up draft. They made players have to de-sleeve and flip them over. Every flaw was pointed out time and time again. Despite that, though, they went on to be the highest-ranked mechanical component in Innistrad and Dark Ascension. There was even a large outcry when the last set in the block, Avacyn Restore, didn't have any.
That's true, it didn't.
Yeah.
Because they got rid of all the worlds and stuff like that. Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that last one, yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah. The New World Order. Basically, this is involving dumbing down the game. When people complain that they probably went away from mana burn and all that stuff.
Yeah, and they were also talking about how one of the ways to do it would be the more complicated, or I guess advanced would be a better word for it. The more advanced the card, the higher the rarity it would need to have.
Yeah.
And this was one that, there was a little bit of concern on our part initially, because it's like, does that mean commons are just going to get vanilla creatures? And as we can see, that's obviously not the case.
Yeah. Number 16, the 2000 Magic 2010 rules change. Basically, damage on the stack was removed. And this is when mana burn was removed. Removing mana burn and the terminology "the battlefield" and "exiled" were added to help flavor to simplify how to play the game.
That was 2010?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Man, this was my first end of the world for Magic, I guess. Not personally, but this is the first I heard about it where people would lose their shit over stuff. So, man, yeah,
well,
damage on the stack. I remember
damage on the stack was the biggest
outcry.
thing that people argued about because it changed how a lot of interactions ended up, and so a lot of cards that were actually good or decent ended up just going, well, that's garbage now.
It was Mog Fanatic, wasn't it? You guys destroyed Mog Fanatic.
Well, things like, Mog Fanatic, who could end up doing 2 damage, or things like, I remember back with my old fish deck, like Darty Merfolk, it was a 2-1 that you could declare block, do the 2 damage, and then bounce back without getting killed. And so, essentially, it was just this monster blocker, but after taking damage off the stack, things changed, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 15, lands in booster packs.
When Magic began, sets were sold in both starters and boosters.
Yeah.
Starters were boxes that held 75, originally 60 cards, including 30 land. So, intro and fat packs would have land, but what about a player who just bought boosters? The solution to the problem was to replace one of the common cards with a basic land. Before my time, whatever.
Exactly. Back when it happened, I didn't see what the big deal was because, they're taking away a common. Oh my god, really?
But they're losing one less card.
Because you need that 1 millionth bull rush.
Hey, Pauper's a format. You need all the commons you can get.
Number 14, Mythic Rares. I actually agree with this one because I don't see the greatness with the Mythic Rares and regular Rares. In a lot of cases, all I see is another rare card, even though it has a red symbol on it. So.
I guess my biggest beef with Mythic Rares was more it just means these are Mythic Rares. I understand the concept behind it. They're supposed to be, if you stick a Mythic Rare, it's supposed to be game changing, altering, and it can almost like win a game on its own.
And a lot of them don't.
A lot of them don't. Some of them do. But the biggest problem with it is that, like, what is it? In a box full of boosters, they have maybe 3 to 5 of them, I think, in a box.
Yeah, 3 to 5 in a box.
Making them so scarce that if in a constructed format, they're going to incorporate mythics. It's just how, like, standard and, well, even Legacy and stuff like that is just constructed in general is done now. In doing so, makes them that much harder to gain, which is helps, or unfortunately drives up the price of cards, unfortunately, for a lot of them.
Yeah. Number 13, Planeswalkers. Oh my god, horrible. I guess when it comes to Planeswalkers, I just really think they needed to do something different. I mean, look how before Planeswalkers, I mean, all you really had was your same permanents. There was nothing new. It was always artifact, enchantment, sorcery, instant creature. I mean, they had to add a new permanent at some time, you know.
Yeah.
See what the big deal is.
I guess they were rare back in Lorwyn.
Oh, they were. Back when I remember the first pack of Lorwyn I ever bought, I opened a Jace Beleren. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
What do we got? The Evergreen Keyword Reminder Text. After 8th edition, they brought on the reminder text, which it said flying, and then in parentheses and italicized it said what it did.
That's useful to a degree, though, because it lets people understand what abilities do, especially if they're new to Magic.
And then people can argue about it.
True. Another problem is because Magic hasn't, printed this large book of rules that we can just go ahead and go, I wonder how this interacts and how this would resolve, and go, oh, these are how these abilities interact with each other. You get to use reminder text for the basis of most judgments, it seems.
Yeah, instead of trying to kill the other person on the other side of the table because they're arguing with you.
Pretty much.
This is great. Numerous players found the reminder text offensive, as they saw it as yet another example of R&D catering to new players. To which I would say, go crawl into a hole and die.
Oh my god, I love this one. This is hilarious. Number 11, the 8th edition card frame. Oh my god, they're gonna whine about a card frame change?
You have no kidding how many people got angry.
I guess when it comes to this, the only thing I didn't like was them making the artifacts gray.
Rather than brown?
I was partial to the brown artifacts.
What's interesting is the reasoning behind it. The department in charge of laying out and printing the cards explained that there were a few changes that needed to be made for printing purposes.
It was cheaper to do
and
that
R&D
way.
saw that. Yeah, so.
Oh, you're going to like this one, Peter. You'll like this one, Chris. Number 10, Magic the Gathering Online.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that failed.
Some argued it would never work, while others feared it would keep players from playing in stores. The internet was full of people explaining how it could never work and how they wouldn't ever play it. 11 years later, it's still going strong.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's the reason why we're all talking right now.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Who knows?
Number 9, 6th edition rules. Okay, what do they change here? 6th edition rules basis. The stack was introduced. Numerous rules went away, which tightened the sequence of turns. Basically, they structured the game in 6th edition rules. Just restructured the game into a more makes more sense.
Closer to what it
make
is
it
today.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he says the rules of early Magic were a mess. Each ruling was made on a card-by-card basis, making a rule system that felt like it was being held together by duct tape. I mean, they never. Richard Garfield, he had no idea it would become what it is.
Yeah.
And so they had to make changes as the game grew. So it's just makes sense.
Number 8, premium cards. Basically, all the premium promos and foil premium cards that you get. People think they're horrible.
How dare you give us free shit that isn't mythic rares and stuff like that? I don't care if it's free. Yar, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Number 7, pitch cards. Basically your Bounty the Hunt, your Scars of the Veteran, your Force of Will, Contagion, and Pyrokinesis. The cards that you can almost play for free.
Yep.
That's their big argument. Number 6, the reserved list. Taking away cards that just make cards that they won't ever reprint. Probably not a bad idea.
I can kind of agree with the reserve. I'm not going to say it's going to destroy Magic, but I can kind of agree with some of the reserve list things. And so, like, some of them definitely on that list should never be printed again. Some of them, perhaps. I know it'd be, if they unbanned a lot, or reprinted some of the cards on the reserve list, it would probably warp standard. Yeah, which is one of the reasons why they don't want to. But I guess I would have always played from a more of a classic format, I guess, like Legacy and stuff like that, so I'd like to see if some of those reprinted to get a hold of some of them.
Option 2 would be, or option 3, or whatever option we're on, would be, to make, from the Vault reserved list, I guess, if you wanted to. But my God, you think the From the Vault 20 is expensive?
Oh, yeah. No, stop.
Because, if they do it from the Vault reserved list, we're looking at Black Lotus, and that automatically makes, oh my God.
I don't think you'd even see it in stores. Chances are, if any stores bought them, they'd probably just go and sell them, crack them open and sell the cards right online. It'd be the biggest turn of profit they could make. Yeah, or they just eBay them immediately, like I heard a lot of stores did with this From the Vault 20. Mm-hmm.
This is a can't win, can't lose issue for everyone involved with this reserve list. Because say Wizards did reprint them, the secondary market's going to throw a fit. The people that already have them are going to go nuts about the fact that you've just made my cards less valuable. Granted, it's not like it's going to tank them and make Black Lotus a $15 card all of a sudden. But all the same, it is going to have some sort of negative effect on the price of the card.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that this is the way they do it. And, it's just one of the things that they've said that they're not going to change, they're not going to change it.
Pretty much. Like I said, it's one of those no one wins situations, but in the end, it needs to exist.
And number 5 feeds right into your reserve list conversation. The printing of Chronicles is number 5 on the list.
Oh, Chronicles.
Basically, Wizards thought that some of the newer players coming in missed a lot of fun cards in the previous set, so they made a set that just reprinted a bunch of older cards.
Modern Masters for paper.
Modern Masters for paper. Chronicles for paper, too.
More or less, the reserve list came because of Chronicles, because a lot of people got pissed that some old powerful cards got reprinted.
Yeah.
Now, isn't this also the set where it was like they didn't exactly label them very well?
No, they did a horrible job. So people
like, oh yeah, I got a, I know it's not in there, but yeah, I got a Black Lotus. It's like, well, you have a Chronicles Black Lotus. You don't have an Alpha Black Lotus.
Yeah.
It's not crap.
It made it really hard to judge. Like, I remember being at the dugout and getting those cards in, and you really had to...
Chronicles has the C, doesn't it, though, on it, for its set emblem?
Yes, it does, but at the same time, they look weird, too. They look weird. They look and feel like the real thing, and sometimes the insignia on the Chronicles isn't that well pronounced. It's really messed up. And then I
I haven't handled that many Chronicle cards, so I'll defer to you on that one, I guess.
And then we got Nalathini Dragon. These are basically it's a card. It's only a $2 card, so but the reason why people are livid over the Nalathini Dragon and other cards like it are what they call the special coupon card. It was a specially unique card that only existed.
You can only get it in a certain means.
Wasn't it? You get it in certain
you bought
means.
It through you had a book or something. You sent something in for it.
Yeah. I guess this dragon they're talking about was the first one ever, and it was in a special promotion of attendees at a 1994 Dragon Con convention. And they created the card just for that convention.
I like the way they do it. They do it now. It's like with the comic book, you can get an alternate printing of a card that does exist. That kind of is the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Still getting something cool for buying the comic book, but and it's got an alternate artwork. But by the same token, if it's not really your thing, you can still play like the regular Faithless Looting and be just as good.
Number 3, the start of Type 2, also known as Standard. That's number 3.
Yep. As sets kept coming out, it became clear that something else had to be done to keep the power level of the game from spiraling out of control. Think about that now. I couldn't even imagine.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Ugh, that'd be gross. The creation of the banned and restricted lists for number 2. I like number 1. Basically, yeah, just making the game more balanced. I think I agree with a lot of the banned and restricted lists because some of those cards just completely like number 3. It makes the format spiral out of control. They got to have some way of controlling it a little bit to make it a different format. Otherwise, what's the point of having different formats if you're not going to have a banned restricted list? I mean. In number 1, my favorite, the introduction of 60-card decks and 4-card limits.
This reminds me of the old 40-card Pestilence Rat deck. Or just like, what is it? Black Lotus, Pestilence Rats, and Sinkholes?
Yep.
And so it's just, throw as many Black Lotuses out, tap them, crack them, throw as many Pestilence Rats out, so you like a turn 1/4, like some Pestilence Rats. And so 4/4s just go, okay, your turn.
The reason why number 1 I find funny is because back when the dugout was still open, our manager, an older player, he's been playing since the game started, he complained about this constantly, the fact that he had to have 60 cards in a deck, and the limit was 4. Because he claimed it was just great to play back when the rules of Magic were there were no rules.
That was also kind of like the old West to say.
It's like back in my day when we played Magic, there were no rules. And
hey, do you remember the old burn deck?
Huh?
Do you remember the old burn deck?
20 mountains and 40 lightning bolts?
Yep. It was just every turn. Lightning bolts. Next turn, 2 lightning bolts. Turn after that, 3 lightning bolts.
That's ridiculous.
And this top deck from there.
Yeah.
So, it's not the heroes of the web this week, but there is, comments in the message board for this, and as you can imagine, they're hilarious.
Oh,
but what I will say is what one person wrote that I thought was very interesting. He said, "Rule number 3: cards nobody can get. Results: players get angry. Rule number 4: cards everybody can get. Result: players get angry. And number 5, a promise to never do number 3 or 4 again. Result: players get angry." I love it.
So you never win.
Yep.
Exactly. You never win.
It's impossible to please people.
Yep. Yep.
I thought this article was interesting.
Very interesting.
But yeah.
So, gentlemen, it is Brew of the Month time.
Oh, yeah.
Yay!
And before we jump into the new one, we should see if there's any finalized stuff regarding the July Brew of the Month. And I think basically, yeah, I saw you have a final list.
I think me and Nate have different lists, though.
And I think basically what happened with the people who tend to play it a lot is they got really burnt out on this one.
Because there was never a short game with it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
The longer, all you do with this deck is punish yourself.
I wouldn't say that, but you're definitely in for the long haul, which is what we strive to do almost, so I'm not going to be angry.
All right, so Nate, why don't you cover your final list real quick?
All right, July Brew by myself. I went with 3 Azorius Guild Gates because I don't like 4. I just don't like it. 2 Haunted Fengraf. Makes sense. 9 islands, 9 plains. I ended up with pretty much a good 50-50 blue-white mix. Creatures, I went with 3 Basilica Guards, 4 Seraph of Dawn, and 4 Syndicate Tithes. And then, for other spells, this one is in contention because at the time I really didn't know what else to throw in there. So I just threw 3 cards in there. I went with Dramatic Rescue. You gain 2 life and you can save a creature against a heavy removal deck. Or get rid of an attacker and gain 2 life. Or whatever. Sure. 4 Essence Scattered, 3 Negates, 4 Pacifisms, 4 Righteous Blows. I went with 1 Runner's Bane, surprisingly enough. I thought it was a bad card, but it actually isn't that bad at all.
Told ya.
Especially when you watch their main aggro guy just tap down completely and they can't do anything about it. 3 Silent Departure. That card was amazingly effective, especially when you get to extort for like 3 to 4 damage. 4 Think Twice. Again, draw a card and hurt your opponent. A lot of fun there.
Mm-hmm.
And then sideboard, 1 Negate, 3 Beckon Apparition, 1 Cancel, just because I had a hard time against some of those heavy counterspell decks. 3 Curse of the Bloody Tome, 2 Dispel, 1 Eldgod Shieldmate, and 4 Keening Apparitions because junk enchantments can just explicitive you or me, whatever.
Expletive.
Not a fan of the junk enchantments there, Nate?
No, I'd hate taking that deck going against that deck.
Have you run against it since M14 came out?
Yeah, and like Peter said, that's a deck that after you lose to it the first time, you swear to God you're never going to lose to it again. Because it's just annoying. Hey, I think that's why the cancel was in there too. Just so I could have a negate and then maybe another way of canceling an enchantment. I can't remember.
Sometimes you just need that 1 cancel.
Exactly.
All right, so Peter, where did your brew end up?
Yep, so mine ended up with a little bit different than Nate's. 23 land, 4 Xerius Guildgates, 200 Fengraf, 9 plains, 8 islands. That's pretty straightforward. I didn't really change my mana base throughout the entire time of our testing. For creatures, I had 17 of them, 4 Syndic of Tithes, 4 Seraph of Dawns, 4 Basilica Guard, 3 Eldgod Shieldmate, which I eventually ended up throwing in there mainly because dealing with Flickergate decks, you needed to have something that could stop them from just killing off your entire board state, and it definitely helped out against like the blue-black control deck as well. And then 2 Griff Vanguard, which is basically the Pauper Muldrifter. I'll have to say I definitely took that from Dan and all of his testing. So like we needed another just airborne threat other than hoping to win off the back of Seraph every time.
Now, see, that's interesting really quick to just derail you, because I know that most of the people on the forums at least kind of ended up getting rid of the Eldgod Shieldmate altogether.
Yeah, I did.
I agree with them that sometimes for whatever you're going against, it helps, and sometimes it definitely hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I usually main board them just because I played against Flickergate so often that I almost needed to if I wanted to stand a chance.
Sure.
But it wasn't uncommon to see me sideboard them out. Like, they're my go-to sideboard out card, usually. So, against some of the more aggro decks, I'm like, okay, a 4-drop 2/3 that gives hexproof isn't nearly as great as just dropping this, so they're usually the ones that got pulled out to replace the Keening Apparition against like the white decks and stuff like that, or against what other ones? Forgot the other deck I always sideboard them out on. Usually like Black Red Burn and Mono Red Burn, but those are the ones I always got sideboarded out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, moving on to spells, we had 20 of those. So I had 4 Essence Scatter, 3 Negate. I know that's one thing a lot of people didn't do at the end, is they never kept the Negate mainboarded. I ended up against doing it just because, like I said, I hate junk enchantments and I refuse to lose to it. So it's probably a bullheaded choice on my part, but it worked.
Well, sure, you could say it's bullheaded, but you know what? You can also say that it's my deck, and I want to have fun playing with it. And if that means that I play some cards that aren't necessarily optimal, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
That, and again, it helps out deck or game 1 against Flicker 2, just because you have something to stop that first Flicker if you can catch it.
Right.
So you're not just dead to them. Anyways, following that, think twice. Again, we've sung its praises in this deck how many times now, I don't think you need to hear me repeat it. Then I had 3 Righteous Blow, because we needed some way of killing stuff on board, because Pacifism just didn't do anything. So that came in there, that definitely helped out against more of the aggro decks, and actually killed a fair portion of the mod with Flyer deck. So after that change got put in, it definitely helped me out against the flying deck a lot more than we had previously. And now, ever since M14 came out, 4 Celestial Flare, that was kind of what everyone agreed on that one. Just Pacifism is junk, and this is probably the better way to go. Just because, again, there is no reason for people... If there's a blue deck out there, chances are they're running Flicker, which makes all of your Pacifisms worthless. And then finally, my last 2 cards were the Hands of Binding, which I never actually found out what I wanted to switch those out with, so they kind of stuck.
I took mine out. I didn't like it. I'd always get stuck. Every time I had that card in hand, I ended up burning it and just tapping something down for 1 turn. Because the game had gotten so much, you're going to do something, I'm going to stop it, and you're never going to. And I can't get out with my attackers, because you're going to do something to my attackers anyway. Because you'd stop this, and then you'd go to Hands of Binding and try to Cipher, and then they just kill the creature off immediately. So it's like, whatever. I'm just going to extort out to win every time.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then in my sideboard, 3 Beckon Apparition, 3 Dispel, 3 Keening Apparition, 3 Curse of the Bloody Tome for the mirror matches, extort matches, and the Flicker Gate matches. So basically any control deck. And then 3 Silent Departure, which also helped out against the Flyers list, because hitting that 3/4 evolved Cloudfin Raptor turns Lake and Raptors into basically nothing worth worrying about, as well as screwing over Stitch Strikes.
Yeah, makes sense. That really does screw over Stitch Strike, especially if they've only got that one dude in their yard that they exiled.
And every time I've played against someone playing mono blue Flyers, they've always been eager to get that guy out as soon as possible. So it's just like, okay, you set yourself up for this.
Yeah.
And so they have a dead card just sitting there.
Yeah, and that Raptor late game just sucks.
Yeah, because they don't have anything else to evolve it at that point.
Yeah.
It's already on board.
Yeah, I can see that.
Cool. So that's kind of where we ended up, which means now we need to come up with a standard Pauper Brew of the Month again. We talked about it a little bit last week, and just kind of maybe trying to do maybe 2 or 3 standard Pauper builds to every classic one we do, just because the classic one's a lot harder to crack.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are having a lot of fun messing around with the standard Pauper brews. So I think that's just going to be a little more fun.
Oh, yeah.
We had a couple of different suggestions. We got we actually got a Rakdos sack/morbid list from Justin, which we could take a look at if we wanted to. I know we were also kind of kicking around the idea for maybe doing mono black.
I like that.
So I'm open to either one. I guess I can leave it open to you guys.
Well, Dan said he wanted to do something black. I don't think there's enough to do mono black, unfortunately. I don't want to do blue black because that was one of our earlier brews. So I guess I'm more inclined for either Golgari or Rakdos, I'd say.
Well, I would like to do Rakdos.
Didn't we do one a while ago?
I think it might have been the first one we did.
Okay.
But, I mean, we're going to run out of color combinations eventually.
Oh, yeah. Might as well revisit it. This is a different deck. Are we talking about Justin's deck?
Yeah.
We want to start out with that list and kind of go off that, or?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, that's a way we've gone about that. We haven't done it before, so
we could just start with his list and work our way out, work our way from there.
Yeah.
I'm game, I guess.
All right, that work for you, Peter?
Sure. Read off the list, and so everyone knows what we got.
I'm building it right now on the MTG deck builder as you speak. So.
Okay, so we got 2 Evolving Wilds, 7 Mountain, 4 Rakdos Guildgate, and 8 Swamp. For creatures, we've got 4 Bloodflow Connoisseur, 4 Bloodthrone Vampire, 4 Butcher Ghoul, 3 Driver of the Dead, 3 Festering Newt,
Yay.
3 Goblin Arsonist, and 3 Pitchburn Devils. As far as spells, we've got 3 Active Treason, 4 Brimstone Volley, 4 Krenko's Command, and 4 Tragic Slip. And in the sideboard, we have 1 more Active Treason, 4 Duress, 3 Grave Purge, 3 Mind Rot, 1 Predator's Gambit, and 3 Thunderbolt. So, let's take a look here. We have... Basically, what he's saying is he's been messing around with this online the last few days and having a blast. Lots of fun interactions with the various SAC cards and Morbid. Flickergate is an issue to beat, of course.
Yeah.
But White Weenie, Gruul, and Red Deck Wins have all folded to it fairly easily. Love to hear your feedback. Love the show as always, Justin.
So a lot of these cards will only be good for about a month, because in September we're going to have the change.
Yep.
Ooh. Well, it's a good thing that we only have a month to work.
Yeah.
That's why it's Brew of the Month, not Brew of the Quarter.
So are we gonna keep the rule? Are we gonna keep M14 out of this, or are we allowed to play around with M14 in this one?
We can play with M14.
It's online now, so we might as well make full use of it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the bulk of what types of changes we have. So I mean, let's take a look at this. So obviously, as far as our spells that are designed to kill, we've got Tragic Slip, we've got Brimstone Volley, and we've got Active Treason. Now the thing that's nice is you've got the Active Treason Bloodflow Connoisseur thing going on, which I think is really awesome. Active Treason a creature, and then sack it, and put a +1/+1 Bloodflow Connoisseur.
Yes and no.
Is Active Treason, or is it what's the Traitor's Instinct? If we still have use to that one, would that be better just because we seal him, get trample, so you get the swing with it, and 2 if it's a larger creature?
Yeah, but you're going to want to swing with the Connoisseur, too.
Well, Active Treason, let's see. Red and 2 colorless. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it, it gains haste, versus Active Treason. It gains trample and haste. I'd rather stick with Active Treason, personally, because it's the 1 red and 2 colorless versus 2 red and 1 colorless.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, do we have what's Traitor's Instinct? Is that the red 2 colorless that gives +2/+0, or is that red as well?
It's red colorless Traitor's Instinct. Red colorless, it untap target creature and gain control of it. It gains haste and trample.
Or not, what's the other one? The new one that came out. It buffs them when you steal it. Son of a...
Did it come out in M14?
I think it was in Return to Ravnica. God, now this is going to bug me.
That's a 4-drop.
Is it?
Yeah, that's a 4-drop. And I think it's uncommon.
It's common.
It's a 4-drop. I think it's a 4-drop because I had it in my mono red EDH deck. I took it out, though.
Just give the Gather a quick search.
Something trader.
Nice progression. No, I know. Where are you?
Where are you?
Is this gonna bug me?
Chandra's Fury, Chandra's Outrage, Creator Eyes. It was red, wasn't it?
Of course it's red. It's a neck of your shit kind of card.
You're not thinking Dynacharge.
No.
No.
Dynacharge is the one that it's like +2/+0 to everyone.
Yep.
Son of a... Traitor's Instinct is the source. Yeah, it is a 4-drop. Damn. Where you gain control of target creature until end of turn, untap the creature until end of turn, it gets +2/+0 and gains haste. Damn.
Yeah.
And then there was also that Gatekeeper.
The Oobles, yeah. The red Gatekeeper.
That Oobelstar. Yeah, there's Traitor's Blood and Traitor's Instinct. Yeah, yeah. I think Act of Treason is probably the best one for that.
Yeah. Better costed.
All right, so let's take a look at what M14 has to offer. Because basically, what are we doing here? We are blowing our own dudes up,
And taking your opponent's dudes and blowing them up too.
and then making our own guys bigger. And we got Butcher Ghoul, which has Undying.
Yeah.
Bloodthrone Vampire. Between Bloodthrone Vampire and Bloodflow Connoisseur.
We have 8 sack outlets. Unfortunately, they'll both come out at turn 3, don't they?
Bloodthrone Vampire is a 2-drop.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking of Nantuku Husk. My bad. So yeah, that is a 2-drop, but Bloodflow Connoisseur unfortunately is a 3-drop.
What we do need to look at is Blood Baron. That's a 3-drop as well.
I think
But sacrifice another creature, Blood Baron gets +2/+2 until end of turn.
Ooh, here's a question for you.
Okay.
Okay, so most of our creatures are 1-drops, correct?
I'd say most of them are 2-drops. Well, no, because Krenko's command. Yeah, 1-drop, I'd say.
Double check this quick, because I think it is. Do. Is it? Can it be? Fling.
Is Fling legal?
Yeah, it's Dark Ascension.
Son of a...
Peter, you just like the card Fling.
Hey, it does some work, okay? And if we're having this many sack outlets, it's not uncommon if we have enough creatures on board, because think of it, Butcher gives you 2 buffs to a Bloodthorn Vampire, making it a 5/5 right off the bat. If you have Krenkel's Command again, that's another +4/+4. If you get, what is it, after a Morbid Brimstone Volley and then a Fling, that could do it. All the while, we have enough creatures to create such an unstable board state that I don't think it would be surprising if we could keep them off kilter for a little bit. The only thing I can see having problems with is against Flickergate, but then again, if you can do enough explosive damage with a Fling and a Morbid Brimstone Volley, that might be able to stop them before they start rolling through the Gatekeeper to kill us.
That, and you can, if you play it off right, you can steal their gatekeepers from them. So when they play that green one that they gain life, you can just steal it and sack it out.
Yeah, you don't. Do you think maybe it's too cute between Act of Treason and? I mean, we kind of want. There's a bunch of different ways we could go with this, because if we're already sacking our own dudes to make stuff bigger, and we're occasionally sacking our opponent's dudes to make stuff bigger, do we really want to be completely obliterating our own board state by flinging on top of that?
True, but I think you'd view it more or less something like a Affinity, where if you have 1 or 2 maybe in the deck and use them as a finisher, or as if after you've gotten the Bloodflow Connoisseur to something decent and then they're just going to blow it off, you might as well get rid of it and make some use of it before it gets hit with like Celestial Flare.
Oh, I know what you're saying. So
away.
You get them down to 10 and it's 5/5, and you swing it and it's 5, and they need this 5 more damage. You just fling it out.
Pretty much, but like I said too, the problem with the other big buff creatures, especially +1/+1 counters, is it's a huge target for Mistraven and any other bone spell. And so if you're going to lose all of the stuff you've put into that creature, you might as well lose it and get something out of it.
Yeah, but do you want to like openly bring in a swing? Do you want to openly initiate a swing and have them stop it, or do you want them to try hitting your creature and then fling in response? Because you're almost running into a Tog win situation.
That's basically what I'm suggesting, is that you're going to end up swinging with it and see what they do. And if you can sack down to kill them, sack down to kill them. And if they try to do anything in response, then you fling it still.
Okay. If you're thinking in that terms, it's not a bad idea, but initially trying to fling it is a bad idea.
Oh, of course not. That's why I said you'd only ever 2. It's a convenient card if you get the setup for it, but you don't want to have to rely on that for your kill.
It might be sideboard worthy just to try it out in the sideboard first. I don't know.
I'm thinking. I mean, that's something that we can maybe look at coming back to. Because what's kind of making me question, like, easier changes to make. I'm thinking, why don't we get rid of Driver of the Dead and put in 3 copies of Blood Baron?
I think Driver of the Dead gets your creatures back.
If they're 2 or less, how many creatures do we have that are 2 or less?
The majority of them.
Other than Krenko's Command and
Well, Krenko's Command isn't even a creature.
Exactly, that's why I said it's one of the cards you can't get back, but you're using it more or less as a creature.
Bloodthorn Vampire, and if you bring back a Butcher Ghoul after it's been killed, you get multiple uses out of Undying.
That is true.
And Festering Newt. Arsonist. Yeah, there's quite a bit of cards in it that makes Driver of Dead good.
Okay, I can concede that. When Festering Newt dies, target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. That creature gets -4/-4 if you control it, which doesn't apply. So he's... Man, I don't know. I wanna get Blood Baron in there somewhere.
How many?
3?
3?
Oh, he's the basically the Nantuko Husk, isn't he?
Yeah, sack another creature. Blood Baron gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Which versus Bloodflow Connoisseur, which that one actually gets a counter on it, like forever and ever, and ever, forever
and ever. Like I said,
so I almost go ahead.
The biggest problem too, yeah, it's like, do you want to keep with the +1/+1? I figure we almost want to choose one or the other, because the Blood Baron, or not the Blood Baron, but the Bloodflow Connoisseur gives you a steady source of swinging power, which is nice. It lets you overpower, or eventually lets you sit back and be able to block without having to destroy your entire board state. That forces you to put all your eggs in one basket, and then unfortunately it tends to get bounced or something. And
yeah. My problem with Blood Baron, my problem with Blood Baron is, besides that, you're putting yourself on a clock, because once you run out of creatures with this deck, you are literally just not sitting good.
Yeah,
Period.
but I mean, I think about the potential of active treason with it as well.
Yeah, but you only have 4 of those in the deck, or at most 4 in the deck.
I don't know, maybe this is just the list we start with, and we just see how this works for a little while. And then we know that there are kind of changes that can be made.
I guess, yeah, after playing a couple of games with the original list, we'll get a feel for what we think are the weak points of the deck and where the kinks, where we can start working from there.
Yeah.
All right.
Might as well.
That was a quick start.
Well, I guess not ever playing the deck, I'd like to see how the original deck list works before I start
tweaking it.
Yeah, no, I can totally agree with that. I know from the list that was sent to us, it's pre-M14, so there's obviously options for stuff that can be changed. If you
in other words, what I'm saying is, I want to fail a few times before I figure out how this deck works.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll start with that list then. I'll make sure it's posted up since Nate went ahead and gave us the link for that.
Yep.
Right here.
That's what I do.
That is what you do. All right. Well, we got to move on because we are burning time here, guys.
We're doing fine.
It's because our first article in the news was actually like the size of a topic.
Sometimes that happens. Nate wanted to talk about something that he saw on Star City Games.
Actually, I did not see it on Star City Games. I read the article after it was brought up by my friend Corey, who is a member of my EDH playgroup, because he's been Speaking of which, he did get MTGO, and after he gets a better laptop, he will have it on, and he will be online playing with us, and he is interested in joining the community and being part of the standard Pauper thing and testing out brews of the month.
Sweet.
So, Corey's a pretty cool guy. Basically, and amazingly enough, this is a Pauper article, and it is on starcitygames.com.
Well, it's also by Alex Ullman.
It's also by Alex Ullman, yes. But I just find you don't see too many Pauper articles on Star City that much. So, this is an article. He is entitled "Crush and Ramp in Pauper." It highlights a few of the standard Pauper. No, this is just regular Pauper. Pauper decks like Eye Candy, which AKA is your Kiln Fiend deck or whatever. But that's not the big highlight of the deck. The highlight of this deck is his version of Green Post. It is a different version of your Green Post. So
you mean Sentinel Green in the list
it's
here?
called Sentinel Green.
That's the standard standard mono Green
Post
deck.
He has the Green Post, a regular Green Post list, and then he talks about the stuff that he experienced.
Sentinel Green is the current used Green Post deck, because it's the one I use as well. The only changes he's made is that he, rather than mainboarding the Penumbra Spiders, he has a Sentinel Spider and Serrated Arrows in its place with Ancient Historians to find those for your Ulamog Crushers and Serrated Arrows. And land, I guess, too.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he runs the 4 Reap and Sow and 4 Mulavani Acid Moss and a couple... no, he doesn't run the crop rotations in this one.
Yeah. I'll go over the list quick, or... Here. It's 19 creatures, 4 Aurochs, Herd, 4 Llanowar Sentinels, 4 Overgrown Battlements, 1 Sentinel Spider, 2 Ulamog's Crusher, and 4 Wall of Roots. There's 23 land in it, 14 Forest, 4 Cloud Post, 4 Glimmer Post, and 1 Slippery Karst. Spells are 2 Serrated Arrows, 3 Moments Peace, 3 Ancient Stirrings, 2 Gifted Gargantuan of the Gargantuan, 4 Moonbally Acid Moss, and 4 Reap and Sow. With a sideboard of 1 Serrated Arrows, 3 Fangren Marauders, 2 Penumbra Spiders, 4 Scattershot Archers, 2 Wickerbraw Elders, 1 Moment's Peace, and 2 Naturalize. The article goes into great detail on how to play this deck, but at the end of the article he talks about how he pretty much faced down almost all the big Pauper decks and could crush it. The only deck he had a hard time against was Slivers. But I understand why he'd had a hard time against Slivers, because the Slivers can come off so fast that with the land destruction spells he currently has in this list, it's by that time, if your Sliver player has 4 land, it's too late, and you're already dying.
Yeah.
And I did respond to this article on the forums. Basically, I just wrote that basically, as much as in the article he wrote how he didn't like Thermal Karst all that much in the deck, I recommended on my forum thing that maybe a few Thermal Karst in the sideboard aren't that bad, like going against the Sliver deck, because yes, it's a 3-drop kill spell or land destruction spell, but being that you're running the Cloud Post, getting to 3 mana earlier in the game isn't all that big of a deal, so you can still. And in the classic Sliver deck, your big threats are the +1/+1, the Muscle Slivers or the Sidewinders, and being able to rob an opponent of those Muscle Slivers and Sidewinder Slivers, or even the Virulent Sliver, isn't a bad thing at all, if you can catch that land early.
The biggest problem with Thermal Karst, though, the reason why I can see why he doesn't like it is because it's green.
Yeah. I understand that aspect, but in order to take the Sliver deck on, you got to be able to stop the Muscle, the Flanking, or the Muscle, the Sidewinder, and the Virulent from ever coming out.
That's one of the big reasons. One of the big things that you use against the Sliver deck and the Green Post deck, just from my own experience with the Penumbra Spiders, just because they're 2 4s, and they're so dang big, so even if they even after they use, say, Thrill the Hunt to kill off one of your guys, which I don't know how often they're going to be playing those anymore now, you'd still have a 2/4, and so they'd go, oh, well, I dealt it once, but this guy's still big enough to sit back and block me out.
Yeah. was that he wrote in the later on in the forums how Alex Allman wrote later on in the forums how he just had a hard time against the sliver deck and easy time against the others. And granted, he might have just didn't have it could have been he just had bad draws, which happens to even the best players. So.
Yep. And also, just for reference, Alex has been doing Pauper articles on Star City Games for at least since the beginning of the year.
That's
I'm
cool.
sure that they're becoming more of a regular thing. It looks like he's putting them up once every 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
Just nice seeing some Pauper articles get some attention on Star City.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's going to bring us to Heroes of the Web.
Nice. What do we got this week?
Segment of our show where we take a look at some of the more interesting characters that inhabit the internet. Blah, 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 blah. Magic the Gathering Salvation. With today's topic, non-stop shuffling of hand. So last night I played my second F&M round against a person who shuffled their every... Okay, so obviously grammar and sentence structure are not a priority here. Let's try this again. So last night I played my second F&M round against a person who shuffled their every game from start to finish. Not quietly either, fairly loud and obnoxious slapping-like sound. At one point, he was down to one card in hand and switched to flicking it back and forth. After the first game, I asked if he could stop, as it was quite distracting. He responded by saying it wasn't against the rules and that was something he did in order to annoy and frustrate his opponents in hopes of them making mistakes. I imagine it isn't against the rules, but is there anything besides just scooping and giving up the match that I can do in a situation like this?
There's no rules. There's really no rules in the game either that say you can't wear headphones and listen to music either.
Mm-hmm.
In our area, we have a player that's won 2 state championships. I've mentioned him on here before, but one of his big strategies, and I've played against him, is not really flicking, but always asking what's going on and playing that game of trying to get you so off kilter and annoyed that you forget something, but in a respectful manner. And if you play against him and listen to music, it's like the worst possible thing you can do.
It's not against the rules, and it's not even really.
Technically, if you want to get really down to it, if he is purposely doing it to be loud and annoying like that, you can call a judge for unsportsman conduct on him.
That's true.
Which is a good thing to have to do, but as I say, it depends on where you're turning. Some of the judges can actually just hand out a loss for it.
Yeah.
But, to be a little more pragmatic about it, honestly, it's just kind of one of the things you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Some people do it because it's a nervous tick. Some people do it to get under your skin. Some people do it because they think it's cool to do it. You can play online because it doesn't really come into play like that. You just kind of need to learn to deal with it. It's like the people who, when you play poker, they put the hoodie up, they put the sunglasses on, they're constantly asking you for your chip count, all that type of stuff. It's all just psychological warfare. And honestly, the best thing that you can do against it to make it ineffective is to basically just ignore it. Answer their questions, don't let it faze you, and just play your game. Because there are people in this forum that say, I do it because Brian Kibler did it, which if Brian Kibler jumped off a bridge, would you too?
Some people might.
Kibler practically takes a fictional bath when he plays, or a fake, invisible bath when he plays Magic, though.
And then, one guy says, I don't care what anyone says about a nervous tick or whatever bullshit. I'm sure you guys know it's annoying, and yet you keep it up. People do it in hopes to annoy their opponents and hopes their play will suffer. I'm sure if it was something that enhanced the play of your opponent, you would certainly stop. Angry. Angry. And then this guy says, I certainly shuffle my hand as obnoxiously as possible. I also flick the tops of my cards and try to be as irritating as possible for my opponents. Works like a charm.
Jeez.
And then this guy says, when I want to piss off my opponents, I beat them with Bant Hexproof. So, last post in the forum by a moderator. Since the thread has devolved into an e-penis contest searching for whoever can prove to be the bigger and prouder jerk, I'll go ahead and close this one down. Which pretty much happens to just about every forum on MTG.
Pretty much. People have too much fun and they shut it down.
Yep. Ultimately, in some ways, this is why playing kitchen table, why starting out with kitchen table is to your advantage. Because you just kind of learn how to BS with your friends, but still keep a game state going. It's just the next logical step to be able to put up with another player's BS and keep a game state going.
I'll be the first to admit I'm horrible at that. I'm horrible at like playing Magic at the kitchen table and not paying attention to what's going on around me.
See, I'm pretty good at doing it, and I think that coming from poker is an advantage. I know there are obvious disadvantages to it. I've been called out by Tuna for saying that I'm too serious about it when I'm in the match. I just kind of I turn my game face on, and that I know that's unconscious, and that's from my poker playing days. But by the same token, it comes down to that same thing where it's like, both players are responsible for maintaining the game state. Yes, that's absolutely true, and I agree with that 100% because I do want to win fairly. But by the same token, if you're playing a match and you have an opponent who is absolutely not paying attention to what they're doing in any way, not looking at, they're missing draws, they're missing plays, they're missing obvious type of stuff. It's kind of like, okay, your head's not really in this anyway, so I'm just going to play properly and kind of leave it to you to figure out what I've done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that that's necessarily a dickish move as much as that's more just like, look, dude, I would appreciate some courtesy for the fact that we are playing a match.
Yeah.
And I mean, I will, if someone is annoying with that stuff, I will ask them to stop. But I've also threatened to punch people in the throat before.
Yes.
Equally effective.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I don't say that to just be intimidating to people. I really did want to punch that guy in the throat because he deserved it. But by the same token, you got to walk that fine line between taking it seriously and also knowing that it's just a game. And the taking it seriously, I think, is more out of respect for your opponent than it is out of me trying to be a hard ass about it.
Yeah.
If I was doing something like that and I was annoying a player, I would hope that they would tell me, "Hey, dude, would you knock that off?" And I would, because I don't want to win through distraction. I want to outplay my opponent. But that's just my personal motto for playing games. And if someone else is like, "Yeah, I'm doing it to piss you off," okay, I understand that. So, comments, emails, and feedback from Matt out of Walla Walla. Last week I talked about a little bit about the deck that he was running, and he actually shipped me a list as well. It was basically Grixis Flicker. So, good old Flickergate. The Grixis Flicker deck I was playing for a standard Pauper event in Walla Walla was 2 Active Treason, 2 Altar's Reap, 4 Archaeomancer, 1 Augur Spree, 3 Blood Baron, 2 Bloodthrone Vampire, 4 Butcher Ghoul, 4 Dimir Guildgate, 4 Ghostly Flicker, 2 Haunted Fengraf, 3 Island, 4 Izzet Guildgate, 1 Mountain, 1 Nightwing Shade, 2 Prophetic Prism, 4 Rakdos Guildgate, 4 Smelt Ward Gatekeepers, 1 Spell Rupture, 5 Swamp, 3 Tragic Slip, and 4 Ubulsar Gatekeepers. And his sideboard is 3 Cremate, 1 Crypt Incursion, 2 Devour Flesh, 3 Dispel, 3 Electrickery, 1 Spell Rupture, and 1 Tragic Slip. I'm still attempting to figure out the best way to deal with the established Flickergate decks. Most matches I play usually lose due to the massive card advantage they establish. And I saw something similar to that firsthand. Granted, it was the tokens, Boros tokens deck that kind of ran over him. But this deck, you have to win fast. And you have the tools that are available to do it. It's just sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So, and then we answered the email from Justin in our Brew of the Month. And then the last one is from Slythetove, Thomas Wilson. Says, hey guys, longtime listener, forum poster, and now emailer. I love the show and credit you guys with introducing me to the Pauper format, and for that, I can't thank you enough. Thanks for listening. In the forums, both me and Dom have been messing around with the Pauper Tron decks. He built a real neat artifact-destroying red-green deck, and I made a black-green big fatty deck affectionately called Golgaritron. Dom ended up making some playtesting videos for both, and I've been enjoying both. But I was wondering what you guys thoughts were on Tron and Pauper. Does it have advantages over Cloudpost? If part of the Post engine were to be banned, do you think Urzatron would make a comeback? Love to hear your answers, and of course this email is in part shameless self-promotion. Absolutely. Keep up the good work.
Well, first of all, the black-green deck has perked my interest, so I want to list, like, soon.
I think it's on the forums. You can find it.
It's on the forums.
Is it? Okay. I actually like Tron. Do I think it could stand a chance at replacing Cloudpost if it was banned? Maybe. But it's really, really hard because the Cloudposts are just too good. I mean, if you look, let's look at the cards. If you have all three of them, you get a maximum of 7 mana. Within the 3 cards, you got 2. One of them makes 2. One of them makes 2. One of them makes 3. The Cloudposts clearly, I think, are better because when you have the Cloudposts out, every single one of them are tapping for every Locust land you have in play, and that's just if you're lucky enough. Where I used to, when I was monkeying around with post decks, a few months ago, I was monkeying around with post decks. If you're lucky enough to get off 2-3 Cloud posts and just the 1 Glimmer post, you're already sitting really, really pretty. Each one of those Cloud posts are bringing 4 mana into play, or 4 colorless mana that you can use. And that's off 1 land, mind you. So, I think Urzatron could be done in a control fashion if you set it together right, but I think the Urzatron decks are going to be a lot more finicky on the spells you use, where I almost want to say with the post decks, you are perfectly okay to be reckless with your control spells and not really give a damn in some degree. But
I disagree with you on the control spells, but no, I think the biggest problem with Urzatron is the fact that you need to have 3 different types of land on board to make something happen, where each locust just increases what you have on board to a degree. And I think the biggest thing that Cloudpost has over Urzatron is Glimmer Post. That's the one that breaks the backs of aggro decks, just because they can just go lay down a land, okay, gain my life. And if they need to, they can sit back and flicker all day 1 land and keep themselves alive.
Yeah.
The post decks, the advantage they have in Glimmer Post is what makes it over Tron. You know, there have been videos of Tron recently, within the past 6 months. I was trying to remember if it was Channel Fireball or if it was another site that I was actually watching them on. It is a very effective mana producing machine, but it's just not as effective as the post decks are. Post decks, you have to kill them quick, because they generate so much mana that they can do whatever they want. And in addition to that, if you don't kill them quick enough, they just gain all of their life back. And they still have all of that mana available to do whatever they want. I like the Tron decks. I really do, and I would like to see a spot for them. And I think that if in the hands, just like any deck, even rogue decks, in the hands of a capable person who has put in the time and the effort with their deck of choice, they can win with it. But if it was someone who was straight up saying, "Hey guys, do I play Tron or do I play Post?" I think it's like you have to play Post.
Yeah.
As much as I wish that wasn't the case, and that's not even because I hate Post. I just like to see new decks. But Tron is effective at generating mana, and it's effective at being able to ramp and put out huge fatties fairly quickly because of that. It's just not as good as Cloud Post for doing that.
That, and with your Tron, you're forced to use a lot more land search, give up a lot more spaces in your deck to land search to get those specific lands to make it work. Where you can just play your map and call it good. Play the
Expedition map.
Yeah, play Expedition map and you're good. No problems.
Does it have any advantages over Cloud Post? I think that yes, it does, because I think you're a little bit freer to, I guess, dink around with the colors you choose to do that. You couldn't necessarily do a very effective, Orzhov Post deck. Maybe not. Whereas with Tron, I think that there's always a chance you could try some new stuff. And I think that the other part of that problem with the fact that Post is so established into what it is, it's just like you end up in blue-red or green or mono-blue. Just because those are the ones that make the most use out of
what the Cloud Post engine does.
Yeah, what it has to offer. And I think Tron, if you tried to look at a way to do it not as just a replacement for Posts, but as its own thing, which you guys, Dom and Sly the Tove are experimenting with, I think that's definitely the way to go about it. But if you're just, like I said, if you're a person who says, do I play Post or do I play Tron? You probably, unless you absolutely hate Post, if you're looking at it from strictly card advantage, win percentage, all those types of spiky ways, you're going to have to play Post.
Keep us posted if you guys are going to go on and really put some time and effort into this. Keep us posted on the progress, because I'm interested in the progress.
Yep. I mean, I'll post the link. Dom's deck with Golgaritron right here. I'll make sure I've got it up in the forums. I'll make sure I'll post that in the show notes. Because yeah, but I mean, me, I'm always down for new decks.
It doesn't hurt to see something new.
Yeah, and before Glimmer Post, Tron, I think Tron was a bigger thing. It was before my time, but I seem to remember seeing it made mention of in articles a lot more frequently than it was. I think once Glimmer Post got printed, I think it just kind of stole the show.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have anything else to add?
Nope.
Excellent. paupertothepeople@gmail.com, facebook.com/paupertothepeople, paupertothepeople.proboards.com. You can find each of us on MTGO. I'm GrayCatRecords. Nate is nyukon, and Peter is Midnight03. We're also on Twitter. Nate's Nathan Younkin. I'm at CM Plummer. And yes. I think that's all of it. You guys.
No, that's about it.
Cool. Well, until next week, my name's Chris.
This is Nate.
And this is Peter.
And this is Pauper to the People.
Yep. It is.
Yeah. Pauper to the People.